entertained? Are you not entertained? Every time.
What's going on, community? It's your boy Almighty Geek back at it today with another chapter review of Jujutsu Kaisen. And this is technically the first chapter review of Jujutsu Kaisen that I'm doing on my channel. I do love the series in general. I have been busy lately, so I'm just starting to get back into the swings of things, but let's get on to this video. Enough about me, right? Let's get on to this video. Chapter 236, entitled Going to the South. And if you're a GoJo fan, I feel sorry for you. If you're a GoJo stan, I definitely feel even worse for you, especially because of the last 2 weeks of the whole Sukuna is a fraud. Sukuna is a fraud thing, you know what I mean? Like, y'all thought y'all was eating good for the last 2 weeks, but it turns out that that might not be the case. And don't get me wrong, I am a Sukuna fan. Like, I do love Sukuna. I love GoJo at the same time too, but I feel like personality-wise, I'm more of a Sukuna dude. Nothing against GoJo. You know, we all knew that technically he was going to take the L in this battle. Like, this is shonen. We know regardless of how strong GoJo was, it was going to be no outcome that wasn't going to result in him losing this battle. If you want to give him the title of the strongest sorcerer out there because of the way it ended 2 weeks ago, I'm not even mad at you. Go ahead. But from a couple of things that GoJo said in this chapter particularly, it would make you feel as if, like, well, those last couple of chapters mean nothing. Because we kind of get confirmation from GoJo's mouth himself in the afterlife that Sukuna wasn't even going 100% fully all out. Like, he might have been going 75%, 85%, we don't even really know. But from GoJo's own mouth, we get him when he's talking to Geto in the afterlife. Yes, Geto in the afterlife. And he's talking to him about, hey, how was the fight between the King of Curses? And he says, yo, the dude is strong. Like, way stronger than I could have possibly imagined. Like, I feel like I didn't bring the best out in him, and for that, I'm sorry. And I'm just like, what do you mean you didn't bring the best out of Sukuna? You guys were, it seemed like you guys were going toe to toe. Every time he would do something, you would reverse it. Every time you would do something, he would reverse it. And, you know, such and such, and on and on and on for the last couple of chapters. And now we're getting you talking about, hey, like, the dude didn't even go full out on me. And that is sad to hear, because again, if you are a GoJo fan, for the last 2 weeks you've probably been saying, yes, Sukuna's a fraud. He's the only reason the battle even went this far is because he has Megumi's 10 shadows. And now it turns out that's not the case. Probably even without the 10 shadows, again, GoJo saying it himself, without the 10 shadows, Sukuna most likely would have still walked away being the victor of the battle. And that is crazy to hear, man. The chapter starts off, guys, but again, you would think it's a flashback. It's not a flashback. It is GoJo in the afterlife. And we get to see some familiar faces, but oh man, this is sad to see, man. I wasn't expecting this after last chapter from what we got. I was not expecting this. Again, we see him talk. We see GoJo in the afterlife. He talks to some familiar faces. Again, he gives the reason onto why he could have lost to Sukuna, just Sukuna being that much stronger than him. Everybody, again, that he's talking to in the afterlife, they congratulate him. They're like, hey man, you know, they're making jokes. It's like old times for them. This is just like old times for them, just talking to each other. You know, you got Reku, you have Nagami, you got Kuro, you got Habarai. You got all these guys just showing their love and showing up to GoJo. And again, it's a sad sight to see. It touches your heart, but at the same time, you know where it's going in typical shonen fashion. You know what's about to happen in the next couple of panels, or what you're about to witness, and it does. GoJo, after all the conversations, after all the talking, says, hey man, maybe this was just a dream. Maybe this is just, you know, it's just some type of dream. And we get the panel of him laid out on the floor, blood leaking from his mouth, eyes looks whited out, like just gone. And then we finally get Sukuna explaining what actually took part, or what happened, I guess, what happened in between the last 2 weeks of a break when it comes to this fight. He says, the adaptation from Magarage, once it gets the attack, it will analyze it gradually and complete it after time. If it takes more attacks, the time will accelerate. Even for a cursed technique, it adapts. It will still analyze it and will do further more adaptations. What I've expected to Magaraga is basically what he expected from him to do was just, it was an example, bruh. An example to get past your untouchable. Like, what? He goes on to even further say the first adaptation to your untouchable was Magarage changing the cursed energy so it would neutralize and negate the untouchable. I waited because I couldn't do it. An adaptation for me to the untouchable. The second adaptation was I expected it didn't shoot the slash like me. It expanded the target for the cursed technique. Expanded the target not to just Gojo but the space in the world and cut it. He says to him, if the world exists, the world will be divided. It doesn't matter if you and the untouchable barrier exist. It was difficult, but a good example. And he goes on to say, excellent Gojo, I will never forget about you. And again, we see just Gojo's body cut in half. And again, to me, it reminds me of Ome Yamamoto in the Bleach between his fight with Yuha. We seen the aftermath of it, and he was just cut in half. We didn't expect that because of the last chapter. We maybe expected just Ome Yamamoto got wounded pretty badly. The fight was going to continue, but it was like, no, that next chapter was Ome Yamamoto cut in half. And the same thing goes on to this. We thought we knew one thing because of the last 2 weeks, and then we get this chapter, and it's a completely whole different thing. And it's crazy because towards the end of the chapter, not caring at all about Gojo's death, we see Hajime, the thunder god, show up. Again, he said, I have next in this battle. Whoever the victor is, I'm going next in this fight. And it's crazy because, again, Sukuna looks up and he says, I feel good now. Don't let me down. And he looks up to the sky like, I know you're coming, bruh. So my whole thing is, if Gojo just got destroyed, if Gojo just got beat by Sukuna, and Sukuna wasn't going all out or 100%, what makes Hajime think that he is going to defeat this dude? Please, somebody tell me something. Tell me something. Like, if Gojo just got done that way, you're not going to be able to do a thing. And I don't see this fight, if it does go down, lasting more than 2 to 3 chapters. Either I feel like something is going to get in between or in the middle of this fight so Hajime can live, or he is about to get destroyed or obliterated. I don't know, but yo, this chapter right here has sent shockwaves throughout the community. Like I said, it's still taking me a couple of days after reading the spoilers to get used to this, that Gojo was just killed the way he was killed, but it was off screen. Again, we get Sukuna explaining what happened, but again, from the last chapter, we saw you leaning up against a building, body all bluttered up, like looking like this was the end for you, and we see Gojo healing, looking like he's ready for another round, just for us to come back to this one, and he was cut in half. And apparently, from what rumors have been saying, Gege has confirmed, or at least it seems like that within the last 2 weeks of a break, he forgot about doing an extra chapter. So maybe we might get another chapter explaining what happened in between 235 and 236, because it is definitely a big giant gap of what the fuck happened within one chapter. But yo, this chapter is definitely controversial. Again, if you are a Gojo fan and for the last couple of weeks you've been popping off talking, I feel sorry for you. If you are a Sukuna fan, hey man, don't go too hard. Take it easy on them a little bit. Let's not try to because Gojo was other than him having fans, he was a representation of the Jujutsu Kaisen fandom. Like, he is another dude. He is just another dude of a part of a series that we love. So at the end of the day, we got to give my man respects. Rest in peace to him. Didn't think he would go out the way he did, but hey, I guess top tier characters can get off screen too, right? The battle was done. This has been one of the best battles in Shonen Jump that I've read. I can't wait for it to be animated. Oh my god, guys. Again, still in shock. Can't wait for next week's chapter now, since this is not going on any break. Can't wait, but Jesus Christ. How do you guys feel about this chapter? Was it a shock to you? Are you a GoJo fan? Are you mad about this? Or you're okay with this? Were you expecting Sukuna to win? If you're a Sukuna fan, were you expecting him to reveal some more techniques? Were you expecting him to win like this to just an off-screen GoJo, especially after what happened 2 weeks ago? Give me your thoughts on the feeling. Guys, as always, this has been your boy Almighty Geek. Peace, love, and deuces.